If all goes as planned, I think the title of this video is going to have some sort of reference to Marie Kondo, and I will explain all of that in this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Leigh Monet, and I put out videos every week about different topics, but I am going to address some things about my channel towards the end of the video. And I will put a timestamp down below as to wherever that ends up being. I apologize, there's so much traffic outside, it's ridiculous, but whatever. I just need to make this video now because I want to keep to my schedule of uploading at least one video every week. And this week has been a little bit tricky because of my schedule, but I wanted to go ahead and do this because I have thoughts that I really want to share about something that I've just recently done on my channel, which is a big declutter of my makeup collection. It ended up being 4 videos of the makeup collection itself, plus an introduction video to start the whole process off. And now I'm doing a sort of end of the process reflection video of how I feel about the whole process and how I feel about what I've just gone through and some things that I have discovered or maybe have been reinforced in my mind as far as what I kind of already knew about myself and just about decluttering in general and my views on the whole culture of decluttering and etc. etc. So yes, I did do a decluttering series. I will link the playlist for that up in the eye here, and there's also a link to it down below in the description box. And I did that decluttering because I knew that my makeup collection was just still out of control. I had done two declutters before the one I just did. I had gone through once, had gotten up a box of stuff, gave it away, then went through sometime later and got more things together to take out of my collection. And then just a few weeks ago, I decided, you know what, I still have too many things, and went through the process again. If all goes to plan, I am probably going to call this video something like I'm trying to pre-Kondo my life. So Marie Kondo, if you've been following decluttering or anything like that, you probably have heard of Marie Kondo. She is the Japanese decluttering expert. There are some philosophical issues right now with her because now she is selling stuff on her website, but that's really not what we're talking about. We're talking about the whole idea of decluttering and Kon-Marieing your life and getting rid of things that you don't need, that were unnecessary, or maybe you used in the past but aren't using anymore, or whatever it is, the whole process of doing that. And what I've discovered is that I never want to do this kind of decluttering again, especially with my makeup collection. And I'll go through why I've come to that conclusion. But here are some uncomfortable truths about myself that I discovered in this whole process. The number one thing that is really unpleasant for me to face about myself is that I have a streak of greedy a mile wide. I want things, I want them now, and with makeup, I went through a phase where I was watching people, especially on YouTube, talk about makeup, and I wanted that makeup, and so I bought that makeup. And I just kept buying the makeup. And I've mentioned this ad nauseum in other videos. I was trying to fill a hole in my life. I had left behind something that was a dream of mine, and I thought that filling it with stuff like makeup was going to help. And of course, thinking logically and clearly, that is not going to work. You can't fill up a hole in your life with stuff. It just doesn't work that way. Happiness doesn't come from stuff. Happiness is a frame of mind. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a mindset. Happiness should not depend on the stuff you have or where you're living or anything. You know, they've done studies on happiness, and people in poverty can be happy. And I'm not saying that poverty is a great thing. Of course it's not. But, you know, there are people in poverty who are happy. There are people who are very, very wealthy who are extremely unhappy. So happiness really can't depend on the stuff that you have. I thought I could be happier with stuff. And I apologize. Now the heat has come on, but I just want to go ahead and get this filmed. So I apologize that the noise level is weird. I am working on getting a microphone of some sort, so hopefully that will change. And I'm also working on getting some lighting, so hopefully the lighting is going to improve over the next few videos. But really this video is not about the quality of the video itself, it's about the stuff I'm saying. Hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. The first really uncomfortable truth is that I'm greedy, and that I had a lot of stuff because I was greedy. Because I wanted things, and I wanted them right away, and I didn't want to wait, and I didn't want to think about them and consider them. And a lot of that was being fed into by the culture that we're in. We live in a capitalist, consumerist society, and we live increasingly more and more in an influencer society, a society that is being overtaken by this whole idea of influencers, which is a very recent thing that has happened with social media, YouTube, Instagram, things like that, where people are influencing others to buy stuff. And that absolutely happened with me. That is partly on me, but that's also partly on this culture where people started out doing something as a hobby on, say, YouTube or a blog or Instagram, and then PR started coming in. You know, companies started looking at these people sitting on YouTube in their bedrooms, like me, only they were doing this years ago, talking about makeup and things like that, and realized they could send these people stuff and they would talk about it and they could influence people to buy it, hence the term influencer. Same with Instagram, you know, people on Instagram. There's a term for what some of them do, and they call them link whores. And unfortunately, a lot of them are women who are linking everything. They link their clothes, they link their, you know, the kids' stuff that they push. They link everything. I mean, everything can be linked. And they're working with Nordstrom and Macy's and department stores and all, you know, different kinds of vendors and stores and retailers and everything, and they're linking stuff because it's a great way to sell stuff, and it's a great way for them to make money. And you know what? There's a part of me that doesn't argue with that, because if I could, you know, make money doing videos or blog posts or whatever, I would probably do that to some degree, because, you know, why not? But we have to be careful. I mean me as a consumer, I have to be careful because I'm allowing myself to be influenced to buy stuff that I really don't need. And that's what happened with makeup, specifically with makeup. I was watching YouTube and I was watching all these people talk about stuff, and it was influencing me to buy things. And come to find out, as I sort of came out of that fog of purchasing, I didn't need that stuff. I didn't need the things that I was buying. You could argue, do you really need makeup? There are some people who say that, especially as a woman, and especially if you're in like a professional field or something like that, I'm moving into entertainment, I probably need it to some degree in order to present myself in a professional, polished manner. But did I need all of it? Absolutely to the heck no. I didn't need all of it. And I realized that, but I was greedy. I was trying to fill up a place in my life, a hole with stuff, and it wasn't working. So that's one of the things that I've discovered about myself, and that's something I kind of already knew. I was greedy, and it just kind of reinforced that, and just realizing that and admitting that to myself, and admitting that uncomfortable truth about myself, that I have that in me, that tendency, and thinking about what that says about me, and thinking about what it has done to me as far as my life, having all this stuff, you know, the money that I spent on those things that I didn't need to spend, that I could have saved or done something more practical with. And then the waste that I've created in throwing that stuff away. I have a box full of makeup right now that I'm gonna need to figure out what to do with. And probably a lot of that's gonna be thrown away. So I just, you know, realizing that about myself through this whole process has been quite eye-opening. And going along with this whole idea of being greedy, I've realized that it's hard for me to be content with what I have, because I have this idea in my head that I want to be this certain person. And so I buy things with this idea in mind that I'm going to become this certain person, and then that never happens. And let me talk about something from my past that kind of reinforces this whole idea about myself. Years ago, I worked at a card and like gift shop, and it was going out of business, and so everything was going on sale, and it was, you know, increasing in the percentage off. You know, it started at a certain percent, and then it went up further and further and further. So I had picked out all these things that I wanted, like boxes of cards and stationery and things like that, because I was convinced that I was going to be a person who's going to be in a relationship, and I would need cards about love that I needed to give to that person. I was going to be a person who gave parties, so I would need invitations. I was going to be a person who wrote lots of letters, and so I needed letter stationery. I never became any of those people. So I bought all this stuff, and I remember squirreling away these items, like to hold on to them, to make sure people didn't buy them so that I could get them at a certain percentage off. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I never used, I don't know if I used any of that stuff. I think I ended up giving away most, if not all of it, and getting rid of it in various ways because I never became that person. I just watched a video recently about decluttering because you aren't your fantasy self or something along those lines. I'll link to it down below. It's by Jessica Braun. And I believe she was influenced by a few other people. And I think she linked in her video description box to some other people who had influenced her to make it. So this idea that you have this fantasy self, I had this person that I thought I was going to be, that I thought I was going to become, that I never became, and I had all this stuff. And that's something from years ago. So, I mean, this has been a problem with me consistently. But now that I'm aware of it, I am now realizing and recognizing that, and I've been able to kind of put a stop to that to some degree, at least for right now. And I have an example just from a couple of days ago. I went to a craft store that is going out of business, and I bought a few things, and then went back with my mom a day after that. And I had been thinking about buying some pens. They have some pigment pens that are on sale. Pigment is great because you can write in things like Bible. You know, Bibles tend to have really thin pages. Pigment pens are really great for that. They're also archival quality and acid-free and all that fun stuff. So, and I find them very useful. I use them for things. I actually do use them. So I bought a package of them and I thought, well, I could buy more. And then as I was standing there looking at it, I thought, you know what? I don't need more of these. I already have some pigment pens that I had in my collection already. I had bought one pack of 3 of those pens, and I realized I don't need any more. By the time I actually use up what I have right now, I will probably want something different. So I didn't buy them. So there's hope. If you're struggling with stuff, with greed or this need to buy stuff because you want to be this certain person or you think you're going to be this type of person, whatever, there is hope. You can adjust your behavior, but you have to become aware of it. And this decluttering has helped me become aware of these things that are not really good in me, these things that I need to change because they are not serving me, they are not helping me, they are detrimental to my life. They cause me to spend money I don't need to spend. They cause me to have stuff that overwhelms me. That was one of the things that was the problem with my makeup collection. I was overwhelmed. I would look in the drawers of makeup and I couldn't decide what I wanted to use because there was just too much. And so now looking at what I have, I went from, I think it was 3 or 4 drawers in, I believe it's called the HELMER. It's from Ikea. I'll link it down below. And I may even take some footage of it and show you what it looks like and show you what the collection looks like right now. But when I first put that thing together to put my makeup in, because I had so much, I think I filled up 4 or 5 of these 6 drawers. It was ridiculous. My makeup now fits pretty comfortably, I think in 2. There may be a little bit of overflow in a 3rd drawer, maybe with some brushes or something, but pretty much all of the makeup, except for what I use on a daily basis, which is in its own little container, all of that fits in 2 drawers. That is so much less than I had before, and when I open up the drawers, I feel less overwhelmed. And I've actually already gotten rid of a few other things. I used a few of the eyeshadows that I decluttered down to, and actually released those because I started using them and realized, yeah, this color really doesn't work, or the formula really isn't working anymore, and I just got rid of them. They're gone because now I don't feel overwhelmed, and because I have this collection that I can realistically, for me, use, I don't feel as overwhelmed. And that's another thing that in looking at all of the declutter stuff and people talking about realistic is a really subjective term. This collection right now is more realistic for me. I think even less would be even more realistic. If I was a makeup artist, my realistic would probably be very different. I have a friend who has a very, very, very small makeup collection. So for her, my collection is actually not realistic for her. It's too much. So realistic is a subjective term. So we kind of have to be careful about this whole idea of using these words and terms and sort of placing judgment on either ourselves or others because of our own personal experience. So understand that all of that I'm saying in this video is my personal experience about decluttering and owning stuff and everything. So this is not a judgment on anyone else. This is not a judgment on Marie Kondo or people who do declutters. I mean, my goodness gracious, if you search just in YouTube for declutter videos, it's probably not just thousands. It may be in the millions, maybe. Well, it may be in the thousands. But if you search on Google, I'll bet you anything you'll come up with millions of hits if you put in the word declutter or declutter makeup or something like that. It's a thing. It's a whole thing now because people are overwhelmed. And another thing that I realized, a lot of the people that I watch here on YouTube are what are called influencers. So they are getting PR. They are sometimes being sent gifts by their subscribers. They are making money from YouTube and then spending some of that money on stuff for their channel, which functions as a tax write-off in a lot of cases. So they're buying things in a way that does not match my own personal experience. So I have to keep that in mind too. So somebody who's decluttering 70 eyeshadow palettes, 50 of those may have come through PR or gifts from subscribers or things like that. A very small amount may have been stuff that they actually bought. A lot of it was PR. I don't get PR. I probably never will. I mean, I'm a tiny channel. I'm not monetized. I don't make money from this channel. This is just a hobby right now for me. This is just me playing around and getting used to being on camera again and playing around with editing and stuff like that. And I'll talk about that a little later as far as my channel goes. But the way I use makeup and the way I consume it and bring it into my life is very different than somebody who is an influencer, if I can use air quotes for that. And I need to keep that in mind, and that is something that I've realized. I'm watching these people and I'm being influenced by them, but they have a very different relationship to makeup than I do. That's another thing that I really have tried to come to terms with over this whole process, is that my relationship with makeup is very different than somebody who is making money and is getting PR on a weekly, sometimes daily basis from brands. So for me to base my buying decisions off of that, I have to be very careful. I have to be very careful and very cautious and cognizant of what I'm watching and the information I'm taking in. And that's another good lesson that I learned, is that I really need to consider going forward with any decision that I make, whatever buying decision that is, whether that's makeup or clothing or any other things that I bring into my life. Where am I getting that information? What is the relationship between the person who's giving that information out and the stuff that they're talking about? Do they get sent things so they're not spending their money on that? Can that change how they're presenting the information to me? Because it might. So I need to think about that. I need to consider that. And I'm becoming more aware of that. And I keep trying to be more aware of that, of the consumerism that is being pushed on us on YouTube, on Instagram, on all social media. So much of it is marketing and stuff and telling you about things and people saying you must have this product or this is a must-have thing. And really, is it really? Are they being sponsored? Are they being paid by the brand? Did they get it for free? Or is it something they actually purchased with their money? You know, I have to consider that. And that's something that I've learned from this process of decluttering, and how much of that stuff I bought because I was being influenced by people. So I learned a lot. I have learned a lot about myself, some things that were not very pleasant to learn and to really think about and come to terms with, and how I can adjust my behavior going forward so that I never have to declutter again. I don't want to declutter like this ever again. So I want to pre-Kondo my life, pre-declutter my life, and really think about what I'm bringing into my life so I don't have to turn around and declutter. Because you may notice that there are some people, they seem to be on this endless cycle. They haul and declutter and haul and declutter. And I don't want to do that. I just don't see the purpose of that, of bringing stuff into my life and then just having to turn around at some point and get some of it out of my life because I have too much. I want to think about that before I bring things into my life. And I'm becoming more aware of it. And part of what has helped with that is the decluttering and realizing how much I brought into my life that I could have lived without. And, you know, it happened. I don't want to beat myself up over it. I don't want to be harsh on myself, but I also want to be realistic with myself and hold myself to a standard going forward that I'm going to consider before I bring something into my life. That I'm going to think about, you know, as far as eyeshadow goes, I went through a lot with that eyeshadow declutter. I will link to that video specifically because I'm really proud of that, because I did a lot of editing. There were a lot of moving parts that went into that, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But it also really brought to the fore these ideas of having all this stuff that I didn't really need, and having so many colors of eyeshadow that were very similar or almost entirely the same, and I didn't need all of that. And wanting to consider going forward, if I want to bring more eyeshadow into my life, I have to be very cognizant of what I'm doing and really consider, am I bringing this into my life? Am I considering this purchase because maybe it's a color I don't already have? Then maybe I can justify it. Or am I just being influenced by somebody? Did I hear about this wonderful thing and I just need to get it into my life because I'm greedy? And I need to think about that. And and, you know, not say that I'm not going to buy this at all, because the problem is, it's kind of like with eating, you know, you can say, oh, I'm not going to eat these foods for the next 6 months, and you don't, and then you lose weight, and then you start eating them again. And because you haven't changed your mindset towards those foods, you just end up in the same place you started out in before you ever gave them up. So that idea that I want to change my mindset so that I can go out and potentially purchase things, and it's okay because it is serving a purpose. It's something that I really considered, that I thought about. I thought about the price, I thought about the color, the texture, whatever it is, whether it be a piece of clothing, some makeup, anything else in my life, that really consider why I'm making that decision. And that's some of what I've learned from this process, really thinking about, I need to think more clearly and consciously before I make purchasing decisions. I want to be content with what I have, be happy with what I have, use what I have, use things up so that I know I'm getting use out of what I have spent my money on. And I think I don't just think, I know, with the size that of collection that I have right now as far as my makeup goes, that is much more doable. I can actually use what I have. I'm not feeling overwhelmed. Depotting all of those eyeshadow palettes has been a huge help, because I've been able to release some of those eyeshadows where I wouldn't have done that if I'd kept them in the palette. So now I have a collection of eyeshadow that is so much more concise and condensed and less overwhelming. Same with my lipsticks, same with the blushes, even though the blushes weren't as much of a problem. But still, I look at that and I say, I actually can use what I have, and I'm not looking at 20 years worth of blush. I'm looking at a lot less. I'm looking at a collection that I can actually use and put to use, and it's not overwhelming, and that has been a huge weight off my shoulders. So yes, I'm very happy that I did the process. I would highly encourage you, any of you out there who are watching, no matter what it is that you may have an issue with, whether that be any kind of stuff in your life, stuff in your kitchen, stuff in closets that have been stuck in boxes for years and years and you haven't looked at it, stuff in a storage space, your makeup, your clothing, you know, hair stuff, whatever it is that you have in your life that might be weighing you down, going through this process might be a little bit painful. You may have to face some uncomfortable truths about yourself, but I think in the end, it is so very worth it. And I would highly encourage you to do that. And like I said, my end goal is to never have to declutter like this again. I will continually reassess. I may release things. I probably will, you know, as time goes on, maybe in a few months or a year or whatever. I'll look back and I'll look at what I have and say, you know what, these items are not working for me anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and release them. But I never want to have to do such a large scale project ever again. I want to pre-declutter my life so that I don't have to declutter. Hope that makes sense. Okay, that is it for the actual decluttering part. And now I want to take just a few minutes to talk about what I'm going to be doing going forward with my channel. If you were just here for the declutter stuff, feel free to click on out, because I am pretty much done with that. Of course, you can like, share, and subscribe down below. If you could do that, that would be wonderful. That would be so helpful to my channel. And now, just to take a few minutes, I'm hoping this won't take very long, I want to talk about my channel and what I'm doing going forward. Because if you have been to my channel before and have looked at my videos, or if you go to look at them after you finish watching this video, you will notice that I have quite a breadth of material that I've been talking about. And I was talking to a friend just recently about what I want to do with my life. I am currently unemployed. I lost my job at the end of last year, at the end of 2019. So I decided to take some time off. I put some money aside into savings, and I wanted to take some time off and think about what I wanted to do, because I wanted to get back into the entertainment world, specifically as an actor. And so I decided just to take some time, because we were talking about our jobs, because we both worked at the same job, and I think we both are suffering from a little bit of PTSD from our jobs, because we both had several jobs in a row that were just not good, that left us somewhat scarred. So I wanted to take some time away. And so I've been doing YouTube since last July of 2019, and I have greatly enjoyed it. And surprisingly enough to me, the thing that I have really enjoyed the most is the editing. And so as I've done more of these videos and I've learned more about editing and have gotten a little bit more skill, and like the eyeshadow video, I did a lot of editing with that. that because of all the different parts that had to go into that, and fast forwarding parts of it and putting music over it. It was fun. It was enjoyable doing that. But of course, right now I'm not making any money from YouTube. It is just a hobby. I haven't monetized. I don't have a chance to monetize right now. YouTube is ridiculous with the whole algorithm and all that stuff. So who knows if I'll ever be able to. Right now it is a hobby. It is an enjoyable hobby, but it does take a lot of time. Videos take a lot of time to do. And as enjoyable as they are, right now, my return on investment, as you might call it, is pretty low. I enjoy sharing information, but I also need to make sure that I am paying attention to other parts of my life, especially because I am needing to think about how am I going to bring money into my life, because I'm going to need to. I have a finite amount of money that I'm dealing with, so I'm going to need to think about making money of some sort in some way. And so in talking to my friend, she said, you really need to focus. She has some of the same issues where, you know, we have lots of different interests and we want to do all sorts of different things. And she said, you really need to focus and you need to be willing to release some things that aren't serving you going forward for the foreseeable future. And for me, the foreseeable future with this channel is I'm thinking like the end of April. I'm just going to do skincare. I will be doing one skincare video a week, probably mostly focused on a single product in my routine, telling you about why I'm using it, what brand I use, why I've chosen to use it, what it addresses in my skin, whether that be the rosacea, the aging, whatever. And just give myself a narrow focus so that I am just doing that. And I want to become more active on Instagram. And I do have my Instagram linked below. Feel free to click over to that and start following me there. And I would like to do some of the things I had been doing on my YouTube channel, like goals, on Instagram, because Instagram is more immediate. It is something I can do very quickly. It doesn't take as much time to do. I mean, YouTube is wonderful. I love doing it, but it takes a lot of time. It just does. The whole process it just takes time. And so I would like to become more active on Instagram. I want to start doing some short films, some playing around with editing and effects and things like that, and start exploring filmmaking. I've started to make some contacts with filmmakers here in the place where I live. There is a small film community, and I'm reaching out and trying to get involved in that so that I can do some stuff with that and look at maybe making that a career, or part of my career is doing filmmaking, short films, short documentaries, exploring this place that I live in that I really haven't explored all that much, and use filmmaking as a way to do that. And so I would like to do more of that, starting off on Instagram, where it is a little bit more immediate and quicker to get that out, and do more stuff on there and be more focused on YouTube. Like I said, for the foreseeable future, that could all change. Who knows? I have no idea. But that's what I'm looking at. So, you know, I would love for you to continue following and subscribing and leaving comments and letting me know what you would like to see. You know, do you have any skincare conditions or things that you would like me to talk about, whether that be products I'm using, products I'm thinking of using, products I wouldn't consider using and why I wouldn't, or things like that. You know, let me know. I would love to take your suggestions. And also, like I said, follow me on Instagram, where you can hopefully keep up with my day-to-day life, and I will be talking about more immediate things and what's happening in my life on a daily basis going forward as I go through a lot of transition. I'm going to be going through I've already gone through a lot of transition, but it's just going to increase because it has to in some way. So yes, that is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at still continuing to do one video a week at the minimum, maybe more. It just depends on what things are doing. But I'm looking at a skincare video a week, talking about the products that I use, products that I might be considering using, or products that I wouldn't consider using and why with all of those. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I certainly hope that you will, if you're not already, that you will go ahead and subscribe, that you will like this video. There's a like button down below that really helps with letting me know what is useful, and also letting YouTube know that what I'm providing is useful. I hope this video has been helpful to you, whether it be from the decluttering aspect or anything else. Let me know what you think down below about decluttering or anything else with influencer culture or any of that stuff that I talked about here. Let me know if you have any specific requests for my channel or any other information you'd like me to know. It's really helpful when I get feedback, and it can be helpful to other people too. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you take care and come back. and I will see you later.